Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. When the Pharisees heard that Jesus had silenced the Sadducees, they gathered together, and one of them, a scholar of the law, tested him by asking, "Teacher, which commandment in the law is the greatest?" He said to him, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. This is the greatest and the first commandment. The second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. The whole law and the prophets depend on these two commandments." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
UD students, imagine your first day of AmCiv class. The professor is giving you an overview of the substance, maybe of overarching themes, a timeline of books or papers or things to expect from the coming semester. And perhaps you pay more attention when they're talking about, okay, what's the most important thing that determines your grade? So of course your ears would naturally perk up if you heard your AmCiv professor say, if you want an A in this class, you'll do this. Right? That would get any of our attention. And then they would continue. Imagine that they were to say, if you want an A, yes, there will be papers that are required. Yes, I still expect you to show up. But if you want an A for sure, I want you to be able to memorize and recite aloud Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. Do that one thing. Whatever else happens, you'll get an A. Now, of course, which of you would not want an A to boost your GPA, right? What would you do? You would start reading Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, right? You would probably copy it over and over and over again. You might listen to it between classes, right? You want that A, and if it's that simple, that clear, why not? Teacher, which commandment in the law is the greatest? Now, if you're like myself and you were raised Catholic, you've heard this exchange probably over 1 million times, right? Over and over and over again. We're very familiar with it. But perhaps because we've heard this so many times, we do not pay attention to how Jesus answers this question. Think about it this way. How many times does Jesus give obtuse replies to questions? How many times does Jesus answer a question with a question? How many times does he engage his interlocutors with a story, with a parable? Over and over again, Jesus answers by sort of taking the rules of the game that the Pharisees or the scribes or the Sadducees are playing, and he steps outside the court. How often does he refuse to play by their rules? But not here. Not here. Question: what is the greatest of all of the laws? Of all of the many hundreds of laws, what's the greatest one? Answer: love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all of your mind. No games, no obtuse images, no silence. If Jesus is so clear, if he is crystal clear in this way, we're fools if we don't pay close attention and give everything we have to following this commandment. To answer this question, well, do I? Do I love the Lord my God with all of my mind, all of my heart, all of my soul? We have to examine our mind, our heart, and our soul. Our mind. What do I spend my days thinking about? What are the images that I put in front of my mind's eye and therefore put in front of my the other way around. What are the images that I put in front of my physical eyes and therefore put in front of my mind's eye? How do I interpret people's actions? When I hear someone say something, what are the presumptions that I make about their intentions? Our soul. How do I define myself? Who am I? Who do I say that I am? How do I see my own strengths and my own weaknesses? Our heart. What do I love? Who do I love? What do I long for? What loves and desires do I cultivate by turning them over and over and over again in my mind? What goals do I set for myself? How do I judge success or failure at the end of the day or at the end of a school year? We can examine our love for God by examining our loves for things and for people. For example, take anyone that any of us love. It is true that we can love someone more than we can love God. Even a good relationship, often these are good relationships, right? A parent, a mom or a dad, a boyfriend or a girlfriend, a friend. The danger there is that not only, of course, does that damage our relationship with God, but we're also placing on that relationship an expectation that it cannot fulfill. We're setting that relationship up for failure. Because God is who He is, because He is the uncreated creator, we have a unique relationship with Him that is irrepeatable and unlike any other. Nothing, as Augustine so famously reflected on, nothing can fill or substitute that relationship that is meant for God. God gives everything to us in a way that no one else can. Of who else can we say, without Him I would not exist? Well, maybe we could say our parents. And yes, they gave us our physical bodies, but it's God who gives us our immortal souls. And after all, it's also God that holds us in existence from one moment to the next. Without Him, and Him alone, we would not exist. He gives everything to us. He knows us. He loves each of us in a way that no one else could. Now we might think, well, if I do love God with all of my heart, all of my soul, all of my mind, how can I truly love anyone or anything else? Maybe we don't explicitly think this, but maybe we're hesitant to love the Lord with everything we have because we think, well, there's not going to be a whole lot of love left over. If we think this, I would put to you that we're still pagans. Right? If we see that sort of division between love of God and love of creation, we are still viewing God and the world with the mindset of our Greek brothers and sisters that did not know faith in Christ. To love God first does not mean that we have exhausted the love that we can give for His creation. Because God is the creator, because He is the one who has formed all things, because He has redeemed us and sanctifies us, He shows us that these commandments of love of Him and love of our neighbor cannot be separated. They are necessarily joined together. Or maybe another way of getting at this. Do I give God thanks for everything that I am? Do I give God thanks for my thoughts? Do I thank God for the people in my life that I love and who love me? Do I ask God's guidance in my studies? Do I seek God's guidance in my relationships? Am I willing to follow God, even if that means giving up something or someone that I deeply want? As we come forward to receive the gift of God Himself, the body and the blood of Christ, may we examine ourselves and seek to love the Lord with all our heart, all our soul, and all our mind.